Hi, folks. You're with, I might say that again. Looks like there's a bit of a buzz on the screen here. Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today at your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about one of my favourite topics, actually, the insane affirmative action, race, gender quota, hiring policies that are happening all across the Western world at the moment. And you could be forgiven for thinking the sole purpose of these policies isn't to create social equity, but rather to utterly and totally ruin Western wealth creation. And it's hard not to have that view, given certainly the hiring, affirmative action hiring, and quota hiring that I come across. And so here's a couple more examples. Now, in Australia recently, there was a very plum job that was going in it's a senior executive vice president of sales or business development, that's sometimes called, for a big multinational now, and all packaged up with bits and pieces. It's paying about $2 million a year. So it was one of the plumbest, if not the plumbest job in the country at the time. So you'd expect that well, at that sort of money, $2 million. I mean, they could have anybody they wanted. They could have had the very best in this field, and could have got it from anywhere in the world, locally or elsewhere, really, for that sort of money. But the affirmative action sort of, all the straight white males that control the company, whether on the board or behind the scenes, behind the curtain, they wanted to have an affirmative action hire so they could signal their virtues. So anyway, they it's a technology company, I suppose you could call it. So they hired a woman, I don't know, about 50, I guess, a white woman, and I don't know if she's straight. That I'm not sure. Probably you could have $1 each way on that one. But anyway, so they've hired her, and claiming that they scoured the universe and rigorous searches and high powered interviews. The interviews were beyond rigorous and so on, which is all a load of crap, by the way. But so anyway, look, as soon as I sort of saw the appointment announced, without even having to look at this person's CV, I knew they'd be either very minimally qualified or unqualified, or even seriously completely unqualified. So I knew that without having to look. The sort of qualified person who's going to fill that role if it's based on any form of merit. And this clearly wasn't that. So I went, and it's not hard to find these things online. So I went to the online CV. Now, remember, this is senior executive vice president of a multinational, in charge of high technology sales. I'll sort of phrase it that way. Now, this person worked. Now, look, you'd say this. Okay, well, given the job, all right, paying a lot of money, they claim to have hired the best. So this person must have a decent background in high level, high tech, big ticket sales. Maybe if they don't have that, then they'd have a good background, a solid background in the sort of technology, and maybe a bit of sales, or or a lot of sales, a little bit of the technology. But you'd say they've been around, the technology, and have been responsible for selling big ticket kit at some point in their career. Recently, you'd think, or at least at some point. But you'd be wrong. This person has zero, absolute zip, nada, zilch experience in any form of selling or business development. So that was, whoa. Now you're the senior executive vice president of business development and sales, and you have not even the tiniest morsel of business development or sales in your CV. So that's an interesting one. So all right then. Well, okay, let's forget that. Let's put that to one side for a moment. Maybe this person is deeply versed in the technology. Maybe they have intimate knowledge of the technology its functionality, whether that maybe they've been an engineer, sort of maybe they've been someone who's been implementing this technology in the field and thus have an intimate knowledge of it. No, you'd be wrong. This person has zip, nada, zilch expertise in the technology. Or anything even associated with the technology. So go, oh, wow, okay, well, what has this person done? Well, they were some sort of flunky in the United Nations in refugee camps in Africa. And they were sort of crisscrossing back and forth between United Nations employment and NGO employment. Then they got some sort of job in the public service as like someone that arranged meetings for some of the senior politicians and that sort of thing. So okay, well, so maybe she was meeting sort of heavyweight politicians at the time. She's very heavily made up and didn't strike me as being particularly attractive, but maybe she'd had some intimate liaisons there. I don't know. I'm speculating on that. But then was sort of a shadowy consultant. I mean, hard to tell what she was doing, and then suddenly just pops up in this role. And now, is she the worst qualified person in the world? No, there's an illiterate peasant in Africa, I'm sure, is less qualified, but she's well dressed, speaks English, I suppose. But look, there would have been tens of thousands of people better qualified for that would have gagged, would have pulled back teeth to go and take this job. But instead, they've hired this woman. So now, a second one that just came up again, a vice president of marketing for again quite a high technology company, and this one came up was. We'd gone to have a meeting with these people, but they said we don't want to go any further with this until we hire this vice president of marketing in a high tech company, and when they're on board, then we'll sort of reconvene the meeting process. So fine, that was okay with us. So we came along for the meeting, and they've hired again. It's a woman, a white woman, straight, I'm pretty sure, and somebody who, again, minimally zero qualifications certainly as far as looking at the CV, I can't see any resemblance or any sort of reason they would have hired this person into this role. Again, it pays quite well, probably $500,000 a year. They could have got anyone they wanted, really. So, or certainly someone a million miles better qualified than this woman, but she was irritated, snotty, angry, impatient, irritable to the nth degree, and seemed to have absolutely no interest in doing her job, or coming to grips with it, or being interested in what was being said, given how pivotal it was to some of the things that are to happen. Just avoided responsibility at every turn. Every utterance was a responsibility avoidance sentence, and came away thinking, you wouldn't employ her to sweep the floor, let alone be the fucking marketing director, for Christ's sake, or the VP of marketing. So, but again, it's another affirmative action hire, and these hires are embarrassing. You try, I mean, having been around for a while and having hired and many people over my time, I try and look at it through the wide angle lens and say, all right, well, if they're not specifically qualified to do this role, maybe they're people of exceptionally high intelligence or exceptional dedication, or an incredible capacity for hard work, or maybe they're expert people managers, or maybe there's something else there that would be a reason. You say, well, that's maybe the reason. They've got this particular outstanding expertise. And even though they're missing some, if not all, of the other core requirements, they've got this, and that may be enough to get them over the line. And given if they're exceptionally bright and a super quick study, maybe they'll still make a go of it. But no, even when you look at it from that perspective, you go, no, you've got nothing. You bring nothing to the table except that you're not a straight white male, and that's a disaster for us all. The jobs that won't be created, the profits that won't be made, the losses that will be incurred, all of this is a price we pay for this absolute, utter insanity. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream.